The Great Crusade begins planning and deception. D-Day was a monumental Allied undertaking. Its official code name was Operation Overlord. This historic invasion took place on June 6, 1944. The primary objective was the liberation of France. Nazi Germany had occupied France since May 1940. The Allies urgently needed to establish a strong foothold in Western Europe. They aimed to breach Hitler's formidable Atlantic Wall defenses. A truly immense and complex task lay before them all. The fate of millions hung precariously in the balance. Success would mark a decisive shift in the war. Key leaders spearheaded this colossal operation. General Dwight D. Eisenhower served as Supreme Commander. He directed all Allied expeditionary forces with great skill. On the opposing side, Adolf Hitler placed Erwin Rommel. Rommel was in charge of German defense operations. His task was to complete the Atlantic Wall fortifications. This wall was a 2,400-mile line of bunkers and mines. Both commanders were experienced and highly respected. Their strategies would clash on the Normandy coast. The world watched, anticipating the outcome. Allied preparations for D-Day were incredibly extensive. A massive build-up of troops and supplies occurred in England. The scale of this logistical effort was unprecedented. 7 million tons of supplies were shipped across the Atlantic. This included a staggering 450,000 tons of vital ammunition. Soldiers underwent months of rigorous and demanding training. They repeatedly practiced amphibious assaults on British beaches. Every detail was meticulously planned for the coming invasion. Nothing could be left to mere chance. The Allies were determined to be ready. Deception played a crucial role in the Allied strategy. A complex plan, Operation Bodyguard, was put into action. Its main goal was to mislead the German High Command. The Allies wanted Germans to expect the main attack at Pas de Calais. This area was the shortest sea crossing to France. They deployed fake military equipment, including inflatable tanks. A phantom army, led by General George Patton, was created. False radio transmissions further confused German intelligence. Double agents fed misinformation to the enemy. These tactics were vital for achieving surprise. Storming the beaches, the longest day. The invasion was initially set for June 5, 1944. However, severe weather conditions intervened unexpectedly. Strong winds and high seas made a landing impossible. General Eisenhower faced an incredibly difficult decision. He chose to postpone the operation by 24 hours. On the morning of June 5th, he gave the final go-ahead. He told the troops, "The eyes of the world are upon you." An armada of over 5,000 ships and landing craft mobilized. More than 11,000 Allied aircraft prepared to support them. The Great Crusade was finally underway. Airborne divisions led the assault in the dark early hours. Thousands of paratroopers and glider troops landed behind enemy lines. These brave men came from the US 82nd and 101st Airborne. The British 6th Airborne Division also played a critical part. Their mission was to secure key bridges and vital exit roads. This would disrupt German communications and reinforcements. These operations were crucial for the seaborne landing's success. They faced determined enemy resistance in the darkness. Many landed far from their designated drop zones, yet they fought on with courage and resolve. The amphibious assault on the beaches began at 6:30 a.m. A ferocious naval bombardment preceded the troop landings. Warships pounded German coastal defenses with heavy shells. Allied aircraft also bombed enemy positions along the coast. Then the first waves of infantry headed for the shore. They landed on 5 designated beaches across a 50-mile front. These beaches were codenamed Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Each beach presented its own unique set of challenges. The soldiers knew the immense dangers that awaited them. Their bravery would be tested to the absolute limit. Resistance from German forces varied significantly along the coast. At Utah Beach, American troops encountered relatively light opposition. They managed to move inland fairly quickly from there. However, Omaha Beach became a scene of horrific carnage. US forces there faced intense machine gun and artillery fire. They suffered over 2,000 casualties on that single beach. British and Canadian forces on Gold, Juno, and Sword beaches met moderate resistance. They successfully secured their objectives by the day's end. Nearly 2,000 African American soldiers also participated bravely. Their contributions were vital to the overall effort. Securing the foothold, aftermath, and consolidation. Despite fierce fighting, the Allies successfully established a beachhead. It was a hard-won victory on that very long day. By the end of June 6th, approximately 156,000 Allied soldiers had landed. This was an astonishing feat of arms and logistics. However, the cost was high. Allied casualties numbered around 10,000. This figure included 4,414 confirmed deaths among the troops. German casualties were also significant, estimated between 4,000 and 9,000. The Normandy beaches were forever stained with blood. The fight to liberate Europe had truly begun. A tenuous grip on French soil was achieved. The German response to the invasion was initially slow and confused. The elaborate Allied deception plan had worked effectively. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, commanding German defences, was on leave. Adolf Hitler initially believed the Normandy landings were a feint. He hesitated to release nearby panzer divisions for a counterattack. He expected the main Allied assault to still come at Pas-de-Calais. Allied air superiority also hampered German movements significantly. Bombers and fighters relentlessly attacked roads and railways. This prevented swift reinforcement of their coastal defences. The element of surprise gave Allies a critical advantage. Over the next few days, the Allies worked to secure the beaches fully. This task was completed by June 11th, creating a solid lodgement. A continuous stream of reinforcements and supplies poured ashore. Within days, about 326,000 troops had landed in Normandy. More than 50,000 vehicles, including tanks and trucks, arrived. Around 100,000 tons of essential equipment were also brought in. The Allies were building up their strength for the battles ahead. Artificial Mulberry harbours were constructed to aid this flow. These engineering marvels helped unload ships faster. The beachhead was becoming a powerful base of operations. The Allies then began the arduous task of pushing further inland. Their immediate objective was to capture a major port. The port of Cherbourg was vital for logistical support. American forces successfully seized Cherbourg by the end of June. By that time, approximately 850,000 Allied men had landed. They were supported by around 150,000 vehicles in France. The Normandy landscape, with its dense hedgerows or bocage, proved challenging. These thickets provided excellent defensive cover for the Germans. Fierce fighting characterized the advance from the beaches. Every yard gained was paid for dearly. The turning tide legacy of D-Day. The Battle of Normandy continued throughout the summer of 1944. The fighting was exceptionally fierce and incredibly costly. The Bocage country made offensive operations very difficult. Allied forces had to develop new tactics to overcome these obstacles. Tanks were fitted with special prongs to break through hedgerows. In late July, the Allies launched Operation Cobra. This major offensive aimed to break out from the Normandy beachhead. It successfully punched through the German lines near Saint-Lô. This marked a new phase in the liberation of France. The German defences in Normandy began to crumble. With the breakout achieved, Allied armies began to liberate France. Their advance across the country gained momentum rapidly. By the end of August 1944, Allied forces reached the Seine River. The historic city of Paris was joyfully liberated on August 25th. German forces were largely removed from northwestern France. The Battle of Normandy, though brutal, concluded in an Allied victory. This success opened the path towards Germany itself. The strategic importance of the Normandy campaign was immense. It had decisively turned the tide in Western Europe. Hope for an end to the war grew stronger. The D-Day landings had a profound impact on World War II. It is widely considered the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. The opening of this new Western Front was critical. Hitler was prevented from sending reinforcements from France. He could not bolster his forces on the Eastern Front against the Soviets. This significantly eased pressure on the Red Army. The Allied presence in France hastened the defeat of the Axis powers. It was a powerful demonstration of Allied cooperation and might. The liberation of Western Europe was now well underway. Freedom for millions was finally on the horizon. The Allied victory in Normandy paved the way for final victory. From France, Allied armies relentlessly pushed towards Germany. The fighting continued through autumn and a harsh winter. Finally, in May 1945, Nazi Germany offered its unconditional surrender. This came just a week after Adolf Hitler committed suicide in Berlin. The war in Europe, which had raged for nearly 6 years, was over. D-Day, June 6, 1944, remains an enduring symbol of courage. It stands as a testament to sacrifice for freedom and democracy. The epic invasion truly changed the course of history. Its legacy continues to inspire generations worldwide.